Welcome to the first episode of Modern Mindspaces. This is a podcast that I'm starting that is going to cover basically a bunch of topics in modern life that bring stress into our life and how we can develop better ideas on them and outlooks or perspectives to help us live happier, healthier, and more intelligent lives. These three concepts, I think, are generally little things that are optional to have in your life, except for one of them. But the thing is it is you that causes the issues in that region of life. But they're generally small things, but we let them have such big impacts on our life, and it creates such an unhealthy lifestyle. But we can just choose to ignore them or develop healthier relationships with them to have healthier lives. So these three concepts, or three things, I guess, are the government or politics, social media, and economic systems, finances, just money in general. So we can start with politics. Politics is such a wide thing. We have the government, which is so big and powerful, but it doesn't impact us as much as we like to think it does. And we think it impacts us more because we watch the news when we go home from school or from work or whatever obligations we have throughout the day. And we turn the news on and we start watching it, and the people on the screen are talking about what's happening in the world as if it's such a big thing and it's such a big issue that causes so much pain, so much suffering, and so much hardship in your life. But the thing is it really doesn't. Whoever runs our country right now, the only thing that the average person sees is fluctuation in gas prices or the price of eggs, just commodities that we need. But it's not such a big impact like they like to blow it up to be. Gas rising 10 cents a gallon might be an extra $1 or $2 on your total bill. It's really not a super huge thing. The price of gas fluctuates so much anyways, no matter what's going on, because of so many external factors, that it doesn't really matter that much in the first place. So next we have social media. And this is another thing where it's really optional for you to let it affect you. If you don't want to be looking at Instagram all the time, don't actually keep Instagram on an app on your phone. You can still have an Instagram account and you can still access it, but the thing is you have to go through Google to get to it. And that extra step keeps you from just mindlessly looking at it for an absurd amount of time every day. If you really think about it, just go look at your screen time and you'll realize how much time you actually spend on your phone every day. And it'll show you what you're spending your time on too. And when you look and you see that you spent 4 hours on Instagram today, it's going to hit you pretty hard. And so that might be scary to do. That's going to impact me in such a bad way. But the thing is social media itself has such a negative impact on you. It creates so much anxiety, and it's depressing. You're looking at people talking about their lives and how fantastic they are all the time, because nobody's going to put bad things on social media. If you're doing that, you're just looking for attention. And at the end of the day, that's what social media is in general. You're just attention seeking, you're attention grabbing, you're looking for attention. That's all it is. It's a bunch of people fighting for attention, and that's stressful. So that's another thing. It's just this little thing on your phone that you scroll on, but the thing is it has such a negative impact on your life overall. And then we have money. So the thing about money is, unlike the other two, you actually create the problem. And what I mean by that is you actively make decisions that put yourself in a good or bad financial position. When you decide to waste your paycheck buying video games or extra clothes that you didn't need or junk food or whatever you like to spend your extra money on, When you overspend, now all of a sudden you have a shortage of money for the things that you need, like gas, repairs for your car, bills, food that you actually need, not fast food or candy, bags of chips, whatever you like to buy and eat and enjoy. When you overspend on those things, then you have less money for the things you actually need. And that's how you end up putting yourself in debt. That's how you end up having no money, not being able to save money for retirement, or, things that build that good financial position. But instead, our own desires and lack of willpower lead us towards bad financial positions. So we have these three things, right? We have the government or politics, we have social media, and we have money and our relationship with it. These three things make modern life so overwhelming and so stressful. So we have to look at how we can build better relationships with them. And that's what I intend on talking about in this podcast. And I don't intend on just telling you what to think, but instead giving you a better mindset of how to think about these things and how you can create your own better individual opinions on them. So, how is life so overwhelming? How is modern life so overwhelming and so stressful? Like I said, we have these three things that make our life extremely stressful. It fills them with anxiety. We're worrying about these things that we can't control. I think that in general, that is probably the number one stress factor for people in modern life, is the fact that we're creating this unhealthy relationship with things that we have no control over. So how can we make modern life less stressful? By starting to focus on the things that we can control and looking for small wins in these things that we can control. And what's amazing is these three things that cause unhealthy thinking and mindsets in our life, we can just flip them and we can make them healthy. So that's what this podcast is about. This podcast is going to be about how we can create healthier mindsets about things that usually cause us to have unhealthy mindsets. So the next thing is why clear thinking is becoming rare. Okay, so we can use what we've just learned about making better mindsets, and we can use that to help us understand why clear thinking is becoming rare and how we can go back to living a life of having open mindsets and thinking more clearly and developing better ideas based off of that. So let's look at the second thing that I talked about that causes so much stress in our lives, being social media. I think that this is one of the things that kills clear thinking. It's the biggest thing that kills clear thinking, and not even specifically just social media in general, but just content consumption. Living the life of a consumer creates so much stress, so much brain fog. It kills original thoughts and original thinking inside of our own minds. Instead, we start to just react to everything. When you're scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or, Facebook shorts or whatever they're called, YouTube shorts, every social media nowadays has some sort of short form content or some sort of infinite scroll. And this kills your brain because it's just instantly getting dopamine releases, it's getting satisfaction, and it's constantly having something stimulating it. And for the human species, for our human brain, boredom is important. And when we spend 6+ hours a day just staring at this thing on our phone, scrolling, constantly being entertained, we don't get boredom anymore. And boredom is what gives people new ideas. It's what creates innovation. So when we lose that, we lose new ideas and we lose innovation. And that's what drives our economy. And it's what helps us bring better laws and regulations into the government. It's just what helps us as a society grow in general. When you are constantly entertained, how are you supposed to get new inventions? You'll never think of things as an issue, and you'll never have enough brain power to try and solve that issue. So, why is clear thinking becoming rare? Because social media is stealing it from you. So we need to develop a healthier relationship with social media. And that's something that I hope to get into a lot deeper into a later episode. But for right now, I'm just kind of trying to give an overview of what's going on in our lives in modern life and kind of just stimulating your brain to start thinking about how you can develop a healthier relationship with it. And the last thing I wanted to kind of talk about here is what I want this podcast to become in the long term, and then what it is and what it isn't going to be. So to start, I've already kind of covered what it is, so there's no need to be redundant there and kind of recap it. You already know at this point. But what it isn't going to be, and I kind of talked about this too, but let's just go a little bit deeper into it, I guess, is it isn't going to be this thing where I tell you that everything you've known or thought is wrong and you need to immediately rethink it. But the thing is I'm just giving you a new opinion. It's instead going to be more of, hey, this here is an issue, or it could be an issue in your life. Maybe it even isn't. And here's my opinion on how you can develop a healthier relationship or a better outlook on said topic. And then there's going to be episodes where I do just give my opinion, and I might even suggest that opinion onto yourself, but it's never going to feel like it's forced. It's just going to kind of be me talking, me giving my opinion, me talking about why I think my opinion is a good opinion, and we'll move on from there. So I want to stay away from trying to just tell you what to think and move you more towards a position of how to think. And that's going to be the podcast for as long as it needs to be. Later on, I want to move into more of a direction of business building. But that's a long ways down the road. But we can get started on it now. And always the first step towards building a business is you have to build that mindset of being an entrepreneur. If you don't have a mindset of an entrepreneur, it's going to be pretty hard to build a business because you're still thinking like a consumer and not like a producer. But by building a healthier relationship with these three things, which I'm going to talk about more in a second here, you can get yourself more into the position of creating better habits, better ideas, better outlooks, better mindsets, an endless list of things towards building your own business or producing something better for yourself, building a healthier life even if you don't want to run your own business, which is completely understandable. So to end this episode, I'm just going to give some ideas that you can think of over the next week or so until my next episode of how you can build a healthier relationship with the three biggest issues in modern life. So we have the government, we have politics, right? Very scary. You know, these politicians talk about things like they are the end of the world, and it's terrible for our country. It's going to end our country. It's the end of our country. It's always the end of the world. It's always the end of our country, no matter what time period you look at, that's always present. So is it really? You got to think about it more. Is this really the end of the world? And chances are it's not. And once you realize that, politics becomes so much less terrifying. And you got to think about this too. I talked about this earlier. 99% of people, whoever's in power, it barely affects them at all. You need to stop thinking like that it's just the end of the world. I guess that's the biggest thing with politics. Once you move away from that kind of thinking, you develop such a healthier relationship with politics. And until you get into that 1% group of people, which involves having a lot of power or a lot of money, it really doesn't affect you. So just stop worrying about it. And once you worry about it less, you will just be happier. And it's a beautiful thing. I used to spend so much time fixating on what was going on in the political world. And once I started to move away from it more, I noticed that I was a lot happier, that I was a lot more productive, that my mind was a lot more clear. And that moves back towards that clear thinking thing that I was talking about earlier. So just think about that. How can you build a healthier relationship with politics? And next we have social media. So social media is another thing like politics, But instead of just developing a healthier mindset on it, you want to actually just pull yourself away from it more. Once you're spending less time every day looking at a screen, you're going to have more time to be productive or more time to just enjoy life and notice how beautiful everything is that's around you. Developing a better relationship with social media is really easy. Just use it to notice the life of people around you that you love and that you care about. And once you move away from that more, it'll be a lot easier to then go and enjoy those people in real life. And the final thing is money and your relationship with it. So this one, I personally spend a lot of time looking into. It's a thing that I spend a lot of time with. I want to learn how I can be better optimizing my finances and how I can set myself up better for later in life. But that in itself can even be an unhealthy habit. When you spend so much time fixating on how much money you have, you're always going to pretty much end up thinking that you don't have enough of it. And the thing is it's really easy to have enough money, and that's just to watch your spending. And as you start earning money, avoid lifestyle creep. Avoid that, if you track a budget, you want to avoid watching how much money you're spending go up every single month. But what you do want to see is you want to see your income continue to go up. But you overall just need to develop this nice balance between fixating too much on money, because even though your finances might start getting better, your health might start to decline, but also not paying attention to how much money you're spending or how much money you're making, because that's how you end up in debt, which is one of the biggest stress makers in our modern life, right up there with social media. So, in conclusion, over the next week, my suggestion to you is to start thinking about your current relationship with the three biggest stress makers in our modern life and how you can build a better, healthier relationship with these three things. Because the thing is when mastered, they can actually improve your life significantly and will help you, as I said before, build that healthier, happier, and more intelligent lifestyle. So I think that'll be it for today's episode. Thank you for watching. Once again, this is Modern Mindspaces, and have a good day.